guys, welcome back. Today I want to do a little flashlight review for you. So we're doing a little bit of shooting out here on the range, a number of different guns. Also right now we're covering this guy right here, the M2T Warrior from Olight. Now they featured this very heavily at SHOT Show. You saw a video of it at SHOT Show from me, and I got one in hand from Olight, so thanks to them for testing and review. So we're going to talk about this light a little bit tonight. I've already done some sort of, I guess, torture testing with it. Went ahead and did the water test, dunked it in water for about 30 minutes, performed flawlessly. Now I did also perform drop tests with this light, but the results were kind of complicated, so stick around to the end of the video for the full report on that. What's really important is how does it work in its intended role, and what is the intended role for this light? Well, it's got a lot of utility function. Nice little pocket clip on it, as you can see there. Big pocket clip, I should say. Big sort of S clip on it, making it so that I can put it in my pocket this way, dropping it straight down if I want to, or turn it this way and put it in my pocket and it'll clip like that. So I can have the head down or the head up, depending on what type of orientation works for me. It's got some slight crenellations there at the bezel, as you can see. Nothing too aggressive. And it fills your hand very nicely. So this is going to be a really good sort of defensive, sort of clearing the house type of a flashlight. Really high lumen count at max, and but it's also got all the sort of lower and intermediate modes that any utility flashlight needs. So I'll demonstrate those real quick. It's a multi-switch flashlight. As you can see here on the side, we've got this switch right here. So tap that on, and we're probably in medium right now. You can see kind of the spot there on the ground. Look down on the ground there, Frank. And then we'll switch up to, by pressing and holding, switch up to high. Then we're down at low, back to medium. And now if I switch that off and I want to go just to Moonlight Mode, what I'll do is press and hold from the start and watch my hand. And we'll go to that very low Moonlight Mode. I don't know if Moonlight is exactly what they call it for Olight. Everybody's got their different names for it, but it's extremely low mode, as you can see there. Switching that off and back on, we're still in Moonlight, so we'll come up to what should be low and bring it to medium. Now those are sort of the modes that we have for this outer button, and I think we might have a high there if we double press it. Yep, we've got a turbo, and we may even have a double turbo, maybe not. But if we do a triple press, yeah, we've got a strobe. So a lot of the same modes that a lot of other Olights have, or Olight flashlights have, that are available from that side switch, which is great. Now, when the battery gets low, we'll also see a little red indicator coming right there, kind of shining through that little switch. And you probably won't see that tonight because it's got a relatively full battery on it. But it's not just the side switch that it has. It's also got this tail switch, which is kind of the key thing for the M2T Warrior. Because again, this is meant to be not just a utility flashlight, but also a good tactical flashlight. And so the reason it's got that tail switch there is so that when you're using this in this sort of grip like so, perhaps using Harry's technique and working in a more tactical fashion, you can actually use that flashlight the way you need to. We've got that sort of momentary by just gently pressing on it, then the deeper press for steady on, and then that very deep press for strobe. All right, and that's key, because when you're clearing your house or using a flashlight in any kind of a defensive scenario, particularly with that sort of a technique, you want to get momentary for the most part. When you're kind of in a steady on position like this, you're giving away your position, all right? Anybody that's, you know, happens to be somebody that you need to find can see you now because of this light being on, which is one of the key reasons why that momentary is really useful. You turn it on, you move, you turn it on, you move, turn it on, you move, and that's kind of the whole point of it. So we'll demonstrate that very briefly, kind of some of the stuff that you would do with this type of flashlight with a handgun, and again, kind of a clearing the house sort of scenario. I'm going to use a little pouch that Olight gives you with the flashlight. It's a decent little pouch, works well enough, and that's kind of how the light fits down in there. So we'll put that in there as if this is the light that we're going to use for sort of a clearing the house scenario. And we're going to dim these lights a little bit, and I'll kind of show you what that would look like. Check out my targets and move. And that's basically how that works. Get some lights back on. So there are a number of situations in which the weapon mounted light is more useful, more effective than the handheld light. But in my opinion, there are probably more situations in which the separate handheld light is going to be more beneficial to you in the defensive scenario than that weapon mounted light. For instance, I think that, you know, if you're trying to identify your target, trying to identify your surroundings, and perhaps more than likely your surroundings are going to be friendly and not necessarily a danger to you, you don't really want to be pointing your gun at somebody who's a friendly. So the idea that you can identify your target and put your gun away while still having your flashlight out is really key to me. So you can still have, you know, your alertness in regards to your surroundings without necessarily having your gun pointed in at your surroundings or at someone who's friendly to you. So that's kind of key to me. Also, the fact that your weapon mounted light, if that's what you've got, is on your gun makes it kind of difficult to use for much else. Flashlights are extremely useful for all kinds of things. I like having a light that I can use for all types of tasks, but then also use in a defensive way if and when I need to. For those reasons, I think that the handheld flashlight in a tactical scenario is pretty important and pretty useful. And so far, I'm not seeing many of them that are more useful and more versatile than the Olight M2T Warrior. I'm liking it a lot. You can either use the 18650 battery, which I believe this has in it right here, and those are rechargeable. Now this is actually not an 18650, but this is the two CR123s. So you can either use this sleeve with the two CR123s, or you can get a single 18650 in there. Either situation works. So it came with those two CR123s, and again, like I said, you can get the 18650s, and those are real nice. They also, with the added benefit of those, you know, the rechargeability, in addition to that, you can also, you get a better output from the 18650s. They take this light up to about, I think it's 1200 lumens, whereas the two CR123A configuration gives you about 900 lumens at max. Now, if there's one downside to this light, I would say it's probably the fact that the tail cap mode is not adjustable. I haven't found a way to set that to a lower setting. If that's too bright for you, if you feel like you've got to have, I don't know, somewhere down in the 400 range or 500 range or even lower than that, I'm kind of hard pressed to find a way to make the light switch down. But, you know, in most cases, higher lumens are going to be very helpful to you. So yeah, I would say that that's still a pretty useful thing. Like I said before, the results of the drop test were a little bit complicated, but I think we can simplify things by saying if you drop this light on its tail, there's a good chance that it will switch off. Here's how I reached that conclusion. I dropped the light many times, both with the side switch turned on, dropping it on its side, on its head, and on its tail, and then also with the tail switch turned on, dropping it on the head, the side, and the tail. Again, I did many drops in all those different positions, alternating between the two different switches. What I learned is that dropping it on the head didn't seem to make a difference almost ever. Dropping it on the side never seemed to switch off when I did that over and over. When I dropped it on the tail, many times it did switch off. There were times when it was kind of a glancing blow and it didn't land directly on the switch, and those times it didn't turn off. But it seemed like whenever I dropped it directly on the switch, it would switch off. This shouldn't be a shock, and honestly, I'm not shocked to find this out. One of the nicest things about this light is that it has a very sensitive tail switch. It allows you to go from momentary on to full burn to strobe by using different amounts of pressure. That's the strength of this flashlight. You could also, I suppose, say that that is its weakness. If you do drop it directly on the tail switch, the switch will respond and turn off the flashlight. Again, that's what that switch is designed to do. So in my opinion, this isn't so much a failure, it's just part of how the light operates. Comes with a lanyard attachment, as well as the pouch that I showed you, and the 2 batteries that I showed you just a minute ago. And for a very good price. If you go to olightstore.com, you can get it for 10% off using Olight 10, I believe is the code. I'll have all those links and information down in the description. But it's just a fantastic light. If you haven't picked one up already, you should definitely look at this as something to keep by the nightstand, keep at the ready in your home, perhaps in some emergency kits, or just as a great utility flashlight for camping and all other sorts of outdoor activities. That's the M2T Warrior from Olight. I'm Late Boy Scout. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.